Loading. This channel is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday. Well, that was fast. Okay. The football season is this coming Sunday. I'm excited to go ahead and celebrate with friends and family. I got to tell you, it is a bread and circus show, but I do love the bread and circus with my friends, at least. It's my time to kick back, relax this weekend, enjoy in the games. Win or lose, fixed or rigged, doesn't matter. It's for the entertainment value. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of symbolism and stuff in there. And I'm going to see a lot of TikTok videos like I do every single year when they have during the Super Bowl. You know, when they do the halftime show and then you go on TikTok and they're like, did you see the symbolism and what they were talking about? I can fall deep inside of those videos. So be excited to see what people dig out of that. But other than that, Thursday, it's already fast approaching through the week. Really excited about what we talked about on Tuesday. And we're going to go really big on today's video. Today's video is real special to me because we're going to be discussing a subject about the 1099 forms, what they're used for, what's their use cases, and so on. But the 1099s, I have been doing consultations for almost a year now with Creditor Academy since our inception. And what happens is in consultations that I have is a lot of the times people ask, Paul Michael, how do I use the 1099 forms to do my private processes? Paul Michael, do you even teach in the academy 1099 forms? And Paul Michael, you know, you really stick with a certain step-by-step guide in your academy for getting remedy. How does the 1099 forms fit into the bigger Creditor Academy plan? So there we go. So what we're going to discuss today is how I use my 1099 forms for my processes that work 100% guaranteed every time. In all of my 1099 attempts, I have never failed, not even once. I've been using 1099s for almost four and a half years now, about 4.5 years. It's just that, and I even taught about the 1099s of Patrick Devine, So when I talk about the 1099 forms, I really have a deep understanding about the subject, and I can answer most, if not all, questions on how the 1099s are applied. But really, I'm using the 1099s not in any other guru's processes. I'm not reading a book. I'm not having some third-party external network teach me how to do the 1099 forms. I'm teaching based off of personal experience. And personal experience is the only thing really I can rely on because it's personal trial and error. For my very first attempt at the 1099s, it went straight through, and I was able to get any house, any car, any financial need that I saw fit and necessary. And I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing, but it's going to be different. Guaranteed, this will be a way far different teaching than the other guru networks. Not to be ominous about it, I really do want to get straight to the point, but there is some things that you really need to understand about these 1099 forms so you can have the right understanding about what it is. Now, for starters, I'm not going to be discussing the 1099As. I'm not going to be discussing the 1099Bs. I'm not going to be discussing the 1099Cs or the OIDs because I like the other 1099 form. I like the other 1099 forms. This guru market has obsessed over the ABCs and the OIDs. It's like crack cocaine to you. You guys can't get enough of it. Every time you see a little clip Like I posted today, the 1099 can guarantee get you a Lamborghini. You know, you're going to click right on it. You're going to click right on it. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not clickbait in this video. I'm actually going to show you how you can get a Lamborghini with the 1099 forms. It's really not that complicated. Once you understand the logic of it, it's not that complicated. So let's do a Lambo Huracan. The Huracan, I wanted to show you guys this, the 2024. I'll show you how to get the 2024. I just saw their latest model that came out. Okay, the 2023 is the most immediate one available. But just so we're on the same page, this is what I'm talking about. This is the vehicle that I'm speaking about. Have you guys seen this vehicle before? Oh, it's so aggressive. It's so aggressive. And look, it's a great deal. You can get it today for the simple payment of $279,850. Or you can get it in yellow, which maybe I would prefer. One of my first vehicles I ever got was a Pontiac G5, back in the day. What did that look like? Let me show you. Pontiac G5, and it was a 2008. And let me show you what this bad boy looks like. Oh, I loved this vehicle. Here it is. See, that's kind of like a Lambo Huracan, right? I love this car. I traveled all around with it, all over the country with this vehicle. I love the color since I saw it, and yeah, that was it. So I do miss that car. I'm very fond of it. It's just got great memories to it. But we're going to talk about your aspirations here on how to get this vehicle. As I said, it's not going to be difficult whatsoever. So without further ado, let's go over how to do that. So the first thing that you want to do right now is just get the concept. Before you get to the car and the envisionment of you getting the car, you have to know what the steps are. Okay, there's 3 steps for you to get the Lambo. Okay, the same steps as I repeat oftentimes on this channel. I'm going to go from each one incrementally. 1, you need to become private. That is step 1. You're following all these guru networks. You're trying to follow this truth movement, and you're trying to be a part of it. Let me tell you, you got to become private. You can't just be an observer. You got to put your toes in the water. Actually, you need to go deep dive in at that point. And you need to become private. What does it mean to become private? This is where your SPC and your status correction come in. This is where the ID and the badge of Patrick Devine that I've been teaching since the beginning of when I first came out with my channel. The SPC allows you to create your treasury account and have control over your security instruments and protect you from government overreach for creating more payment and performance bonds for their benefits, and kicks out the government who's acting as the trustee of your Sister KV trust. You've heard that before many of times. That is the trust that was established through your birth certificate. Your birth certificate is a trust. So the trustee, what does a trustee do? They got all the power and the control. They can buy things, they can sell things, they can control things and whatnot. And that power is given to the government. Don't give it to them. So the whole point of the SPC is to kick out the government being the trustee and for you to be in the driver's seat, because the grantor of the trust is who? Who can tell me who the grantor of the trust is?
His mom.
It's mama. It's always mama. So mama's the grantor. You're the rightful owner of the trustee. And then the beneficiary is going to be your birth certificate, your legal fiction. Okay. The unlimited credits and all that. And it's just going to recycle on through. It's going to be recycle on through. So that's the FPC. Status correction. We had status correction class for those who got this whole become private package with us yesterday. And I talk about the importance of status correction. You know, out of all the gurus organizations that I've been a part of for the last 5-6 years, maybe something like that, I have always heard about the SPC. Always, absolutely always heard about the SPC. Very few organizations ever talk about status correction. And a lot of people relate status correction with the SPC. I'm here to tell you they're two different things with two different purposes. You need to have status correction and SPC. Status correction is giving you back into the constitutional republic so you can stand your ground, okay? So this is all about become private. Second is now privately operate. You need to operate in the private. You become private, now you need to operate in the private. This is where you utilize your entities like trusts and private membership associations to use as entities to now take responsibility and liability of your houses, your cars, your future Lamborghini. So before you buy the Lambo, you need to know what vehicle, quote unquote, to put the Lambo in. And you got to put it in a private vehicle, which is like a business trust. So we go through a very extensive program here at Creditor Academy. So we provide you the templates for your business trust. I like to argue that my business trust template is the best in the business. I have been doing business trusts for 7 years now, just about 7 years. And I'm here to tell you, I've seen common law trusts, living trusts, all these other template documents. Mine is much more thorough, in my opinion. In my opinion, I had my own attorneys put it together, and also my resource material and teaching on it is really in depth, just because I've been doing it. You know, a lot of the times it's not about what you read in American jurisprudence on business trusts, you know, which is a great read, because it's all the case law and how business trust came to be. And even I read manuals, reference material, wise, concise handbook, and so on and so on. That's all great, but experience in helping others is really where you get your in-depth of all the different situations that you can apply it. And let me tell you, just with that one template that I provide, you could do anything. I use it absolutely for everything, and I teach you guys how to use it in the many use cases and taxes on how to benefit from it as well. Okay, so now we got the become private. We talk about privately operating, so you can separate everything from yourself, so you have no liability. So if anything goes wrong, then it's on that one entity and not on you personally. Now, what's the last step? It is build unlimited credit. Build unlimited private credit. This is the last step, because you have all the puzzle pieces. Now that you are private, you know how to operate in the private with these entities. Now you can apply credit to these private entities unlimited. Business trusts operate a lot like corporations and LLCs and the like. And what you do is you attach business credit to these private entities, and you can build it wicked fast, super fast for sure. And because it's in the private, you know, if a company, a business, an investment, a Lamborghini, you can't make the payments, whatever it might be, fails, then it's not on you personally. And you can say, well, I'm going to wash my hands of this. No problem. I'll just try in a couple months. I'll make some better financial decisions, and I will go on from there. So now let's get into the bulk of today's presentation. Oh, let's see. How am I going to share screen on the 1099s? Okay. Watch, it's not going to work now. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about two forms today, and I'm going to show you this one first, which is this 1099. There we go. All right, this is how you get a Lamborghini. This is how you do it, okay? First thing is, before you get to the 1099 form, is you want to have your entities created, okay? I talk a lot in my business trust class, coincide with one another. I call them the father trust, the mother trust, and the child trust, okay? I got this example and this methodology from the Rockefellers in their example. If you read American jurisprudence and the case law of the Rockefellers, a lot of their case law and their cases that they went through is inside American jurisprudence. Plus, there's a lot of great other reference material on what it is I'm about to teach you. So what they did was with this father, mother, child trust structure is they utilized the father, okay, as the starting point trust, okay? And what happened was the father was created by you, the living, okay? So kind of like God and man over woman, and woman over child, it's the same type of idea. So the God, or you, the living, created the father trust. So the grantor and the trustee of the father trust is you, the living. So that'd be Paul Michael Rowland. Then the beneficiary of that trust was the child trust, okay? Then the mother trust that comes into play here is the grantor and the trustee is the father trust, okay? And then the beneficiary of the mother was the child. Then finally, the child trust, the grantor and the trustee was the mother trust, and then the beneficiary was the father trust. It was the father trust. So I want to give you, I usually have a picture for this that I put together. But once again, the father is you, the living. The mother is the father. And then the child is the mother that creates, right? So just like God created Adam from the dirt of the soil, and then he created the woman from the rib of the man, and then the child is created from the womb of the mother. So there's how that, if that allegory helps you remember this, okay? This is important because you need this structure in order for these 1099s to work, okay? These 1099s guaranteed will work, but you need to have the right structure first. And if you get the structure right, then the execution of the 1099s will be perfect, okay? Now, how does, let's take an example, a personal example. Again, not legal advice, but personal examples. Let's take a personal example of Creditor Academy. Let's take that as an example. And Creditor Academy makes money. And when it makes money, it is then utilizing the money to pay the father and the mother. Now you might be asking, why would Creditor Academy pay the father and the mother, and paying the father and the mother for what? Well, there is a separation of what Creditor Academy owns. Did you know that Creditor Academy does not own the website domain creditoracademy.com? No. Did you know that Creditor Academy doesn't own the logo of Atlas holding the world for the brand? No, it doesn't. Did you know that Creditor Academy does not own the software or the intellectual property at all of anything within the Academy itself? So you might be asking, who then what does Creditor Academy have? How is it that it has this brand, this logo, this website, this software system, this structure, and even the YouTube channel it doesn't even own? I don't know if you guys know that Creditor Academy YouTube channel isn't even owned by Creditor Academy. So who owns all of it? It's the Father Trust. The Father Trust owns all the intellectual property and the accounts, and is completely separate from Creditor Academy dealing with the general public. Okay? So now Creditor Academy just does commerce with all of you, but it borrows and pays licensing fees to the father trust. So that's how the father trust makes an income. Okay, so Creditor Academy pays the licensing fees for the father trust. You follow me here so much? So now the father trust is IP, it's intellectual property. So now let's go to the mother trust. Okay, what does the mother trust do? The mother trust responsibility is it's a trust management company. It does administration. And since the mother is the creator of the child, it makes perfect sense that it would do administration, right? Because that's what trustees do. Trustees do administration. Well, do you administrate an entire company for free? No. You're going to get paid for that. Now, it might be hourly. It might be a salary. It's whatever it works out. But Creditor Academy owes the mother trust. Absolutely owes it. So it's got to pay the mother trust. Okay. So now the father trust is earning an income. Now the mother trust is earning an income. And then Creditor Academy earns an income from its viewerships, its interactions, its services, its products, and so on. But there's another element to this that pieces it all together, okay? Which is the father and the mother in its relationship with its beneficiary. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where the Rockefellers really came in with this. They wanted a way to circulate the money for their trust structures in such a way to where everything is earning an income and it's reciprocating the income over and over and over again. The beneficiaries of the father and the mother are just like a family. Everything is to be given for the benefit of their child. And so it is with your trust structure. The mother and the father give their services, give their expertise, give their involvement for the child's development, your commercial business, only to benefit and hold on to the finances long enough to give it all back to the inheritance of the child. Wasn't that a beautiful analogy? Isn't that a wonderful thing? So when you understand the story of how to set up your trust structures, you then prepare yourself now for the 1099s. Okay, kinda. There's one other aspect I maybe would add to this, which is now that you're developing an income for these trusts, we want to deal with credit, but we're going to get to credit at a later time. So I'm going to table that for later. Okay. So now that you are making an income for all of these entities, well, now you have to report it. You have to report it. Even if money is revolving between the three entities, just like it was in my previous corporate businesses, guess what? The government wants to know about it. The IRS will knock on your door. Hey, you're moving money around inside of an account. I want my piece of that. I want it. Well, but IRS, it was only $10,000 and it went 3 different ways. You're really going to view that as $30,000 worth of taxes you're going to try to collect on? You bet I will. You better believe it, I will. They're going to do that every single time. And you must do it. You must do it. Now, you might see on other guru channels, wait a minute, Paul Michael, I don't have to pay taxes. I'm not a taxpayer. I don't have an income. And you're right. You don't. You don't have an income. As the case law that you've seen in this movement many of times, you are not what's considered a taxpayer. Actually, the correct term is that you are a non-resident alien status. It's a different topic for a different time. But that's for you personally. That has nothing to do with your corporations. That's separate. And really, if you think about it, as I'm going to show you today on how to get the Lambo, this works to your benefit greatly if you know how to operate. But but you have to know all 3 steps. You have to do all 3 steps for this to work. Okay, so now let's get into the 1099 form. Okay, here it is. So you just paid the mother trust and the father trust. Now you might be asking, what does the government require of you to show that those trusts earn an income from your company? Well, you need to fill out what's called a 1099 form. There's two types of 1099 forms that I'm going to be discussing today. The 1099 NEC and the 1099 miscellaneous. And I'm also going to talk about the 1096. So the 10 NEC is non-employee compensation. And then the 1099 miss, as you'll see the abbreviation, is miscellaneous information. The main key takeaways from these two documents is the miscellaneous is for corporations. The NEC is for like LLCs, sole proprietorships, what else? Self-employment, attorneys do NECs. So those are the ones that do it. Who do not do the 1099 NECs is the ones that are corporations, okay? And you need to do a 1099 anytime you pay over $600 or more for services. And if you have to file it if it's a payment for business services with the miscellaneous, but personal if it's for the NEC, okay? So just remember, personal is the NEC, corporations is the miscellaneous, okay? Let's go a little bit deeper within the NEC is on what type of ways that you can record a payment. Let's start with NEC. Okay. How do you record a payment for an NEC? Well, you can just do it in the following ways. One of the biggest ways is doing pay via check, ACH bank transfer, or a wire transfer. You have to keep the invoices and contracts, and you have to ensure that the records match what you report. You do not include reimbursements in the 1099 NEC as your total. As you're going to see on how to fill out this 1099 NEC for it, you're going to see the payer info. Let me kind of scroll in on this document so you can kind of see the information. But the payer's info is your business name and your EIN number. The recipient's information is the name, address, and the EIN number for their LLC, for example, or their social security number. You're going to see in box number 1, total paid for services. Total paid for services. Now, with these 1099 forms, before we get to the 1096 form here in just a little bit, you can have a lot of these. Usually for my person, if it's a personal for an LLC or my 1099s for my corporations, I can have like 40 of these. Honestly, it's a lot in multiple payments for different reasons throughout the year to these different, to my different entities, right? So, but you would put in box 1 the total paid for the service. Let's just say, for example, it's $100,000. It's $100,000 for the service. So you're going to put in the total service for that one transaction, $100,000. And let's say you do 3 transactions a year. That's $300,000. Now in box number 4, you put any withholding if it's applicable. So withholding is just anything like federal taxes. Do you have any federal taxes that you have to pay that is being withheld right now. And then box 5 to 7 is your state tax, if that's applicable. But since you're operating in the private, what did you not do? You did not do business with the state, because I taught you the negative effects of doing that. So once again, if in box 1 you have 3 1099 NEC forms, you put 100,000 for each, that's 300,000 in total. You have now effectively shown on an IRS form that $300,000 worth of transactions have been paid to this LLC or this individual for services. Okay. So you have to submit the 1099 NEC by the file. You have to file it by January 31st. You have to send copy A to the IRS. That's this red form right here. And then you got to send the copy B to the recipient. That's right. Is this the copy B? No. Ah, here we go. To the recipient right here. This form. Now, you won't be able to print this out and send it. The thing about the 1099 forms is you have to order them right from the IRS, and they'll ship them to you. And then you can fill them out. You cannot use the online version of it and print it out. But there is an online version to submit these 1099 forms throughout the year. So moving on is because you can file them electronically. They do have that system in place. Then you have to keep the copy C for your records. So send the copy A to the IRS, send copy B to the recipient, and then keep copy C for your records. Okay. Now we get into the 1096, the paper filing. Okay. The paper filing of the 1096 looks like this. Now, if you've done the 1099 A, B, C, OID, this looks very familiar to you. But basically, you are going to fill out this information like the filer's name, which would be the name of your company, the street address and city of town that's located, and the name of person to contact. For me, this is my accountant or my attorney, okay, because they know about my financials more than anybody in my company. And then the email address to communicate with them. Then a social security number and the EIN number, and then the full federal income tax that is being withheld, which is, for me, it's 0. And then the total amount reported with this form 1099-6. Now, what I just gave the example that I did 3 1099 forms, right? So out of the 3, 100,000 each, that's 300,000. I put in this box the 300,000, okay? Because the 1099-6 is the summation of all the 1099 NEC forms or the 1099 miscellaneous forms that you've done for the year. Then you're going to see enter an X only in the box below to indicate the type of form being filed. Well, we're talking about the 1099 NEC, so the NEC is number 71 right here. If we were talking about the miscellaneous, it'd be the box right next to it, which would be box 95, okay? And then you would go ahead and put a signature. I recommend in blue ink. It's legible, it shows a lot clearer. And then also your title, the CEO of the company, and whatnot, okay? So that's how you file a 1099 NEC and how you fill out a 1099 or a 1096 form. Now let's go over to the miscellaneous one. Once again, these forms are very simple to file and figure out, okay? All right. So let's talk about, I mean, this is basically corporations. So it's a lot of the same information that I just said, but you're doing it for corporations that you're paying. So same kind of principle, logic inside of this. So for each one of the boxes, let me scroll in a little bit so you can see that a little clearer. You're going to have the payer's name, which is your company. You're going to have the payer's TIN or recipient's TIN, or also the EIN. Okay, so it'd be your EIN. Then it'd be the recipient's name. So this would be father or mother trust, right? So this would be child trust to the payer's name, payer's EIN. Then the recipient, which is the father or mother, their EIN. Then the recipient's name and their street address in town. Then if there's an account number associated, sometimes an account number can be many different things. It could be, for example, and a specific, like, you know, when you pay your water bill, right? You get an account, you have an account with the water company. We have Puget Sound Energy. I would put the account number right there for that. If you have an account with your father or mother trust, or maybe you have a certain invoice number that you're referring to, you could put the account number of the invoice right there. Okay, you then put in other income, and you put if there's any fishing boat proceeds, medical and health care payments. Why is this important? Why are they asking these questions? Why is this a little bit different than the NEC? Well, you're dealing with corporations. You're dealing with corporations. They have different outlines for what is deductible, especially if they're crops or farmers or fishing or anything like that. So that's what, hey, did you pay any attorney fees? You know, there's a lot of considerations. Hey, what did you have any state taxes withheld? Payer state number, state income, and all of that. So this is what this miscellaneous form is all about. Then same, when you scroll down, you have your copy 1, but then you have your copy B for the recipient. Then you have your copy C for your records. Where's copy C? There's copy C. For your records, right? Yeah. All right. Now, Paul Michael, great. You taught me about 1099 form. You went through that. How does that get me a Lamborghini? Okay, I went through the most driest explanation of an IRS form. I stuck with you this long. Now, how do I get the Lamborghini? This is how. This is how. In order to get a Lamborghini, it's not about the dealer. It's not about the type of car or anything like that. It's about really one person, your banker. It's about your banker and the underwriter that is behind him. You need to check the boxes of what the underwriter is asking for in order for you to get the loan or the line of credit for the Lamborghini. Do not, as many other gurus try to say, go into a car dealership with the 1099 ABC OID form. Don't do that. It's just going to get you into an awkward conversation where the person or the salesperson is going to look at this and be like, what do you want me to do? How is this? Is this legal? Is this not legal? And all of that. I've heard so many stories about those situations. I really recommend not even attempting it. And but I'm here to go ahead and promote processes I do work. And you know what process works great with any car dealership? A credit card. A credit card. Credit card works every single time, or a personal or a loan that's extended out to you. So now you say, Paul Michael, how does then the 1099s come into play with getting a loan or personal line of credit for me to get this vehicle, especially something of that high of value? Well, you need 3 things for the banker and the underwriter in the back to go ahead and give you approval. 1, you need income. You need income. You need to show an income, okay? That's adequate enough for this type of purchase. Good rule of thumb is usually your debt to ratio to income ratio. You need to be at least 3 times, So if the monthly payments for a Huracan were, you know, $1,500, you would at least need to make $6,000 a month, right? At least $6,000 a month comfortable, okay? So there's that aspect. The second thing is you're going to need a good line of credit. you're going to need a good credit profile. As we teach here in Build Unlimited Credit at Creditor Academy, building $200,000 worth of a business credit takes as little as 2 to 3 months. And we've talked about it many, many, many times here on this channel. It's not difficult at all. But also, what's great about our Build Unlimited Credit is we really perfect the profile to the underwriter's standard of your private business trust entities. So the underwriter not only sees a great income and great credit, but they also see a business profile that even Dun & Bradstreet approved, okay? Which means they gave you a Dun & Bradstreet number. We covered that extensively. So now you got the 3. Now what's the 4th and final thing? The 4th and final thing for the underwriter to see, actually, really, realistically, the first thing or 3 might just get you the Lambo anyways. But if you really want to seal the deal, like I always want to do, come in with an IRS form to show the amount of income for these private entities that it made for the year. So like I gave the example of the 1099 miscellaneous, that was $100,000 for 3 of those. Then I did a 1096 form and to show that amount. And then the IRS is going to send me a huge bill in taxes for my father trust to pay and my mother trust to pay and even my child trust to pay. Let's say they each made $300,000, right? So now that's $300,000 in taxes. I mean, call it pretty much $80,000, $90,000 in worth of taxes, right? Oh, Michael, why would I do that? Why would I do that? I can't afford $90,000. I'm working at Taco Bell. I can't do that. $90,000? Relax, relax. This is why you're in this movement to begin with, is to learn on how to not only operate in the private, but also how to deal with the IRS and the tax man. And that goes all the way back to the beginning of our program, becoming private. You see, the whole reason why you're creating an account utilizing your SPC documentation at the Treasury to begin with and putting that $100 million bond that everybody talks about. I got the $100 million, man. Paul Michael, I tell everybody you got a $100 million bond. And I'm always like in my consultations, oh, cool. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. I just need to know how to unlock it, man. I need to know. Tell me, Paul Michael, how do I use it? Well, I'm telling you right now how to use it. I'm telling you right now, straight up, what the game is on how to use your $100 million bond. You don't use it for a house. You don't use it for a car. You don't use it for groceries, paying your utility bills, yada, 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 yada. Because that's chump change compared to what you're going to pay in taxes. It's chump change. When you start getting to a level, I mean, I just used a small example of $300,000, which to a lot of individuals, I mean, that's like going to med school is $300,000 a year, right? And paying that level in taxes. So once you start getting to a higher echelon level to where your corporations and its income are getting to the millions of transactions, and they're all due, and your business entities are helping one another, and you get to that level, dude, every single year for your IRS bill, you're going to be paying like $1.5 million, maybe even 2 million. Some of you might go to another stratosphere and you're like, hey, I have so many entities, Paul Michael, I have like 10 or 15 of it. I now learned this game of creating entities, building credit, getting loans, and doing taxes for them, right? So now, I mean, I owe millions and millions and millions of dollars every year in taxes. You know, I have my expenses, but, you know, I have to do that. And that $100 million will go by just like that. It'll go by really fast. And like, if you get to a high enough level, it'll take less than 10 years. It'll take less than 10 years. So this is why 100 million is an adequate amount. It's an adequate amount. It's a realistic amount for what you're going to be doing with this strategy that I'm hypothetically, not for entertainment purposes only, talking about. So it's easy to deal with taxes. It really is. And the reason why it's simpler is because you have an account at the Treasury Department. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Hey, how can I look up your $100 million bond utility company that you're talking to? I don't have that on file. Hey, Chevrolet car dealership, why can't you see my Treasury account? Because we're Chevrolet. You know, no one knows about this account with the Treasury Department as well as the IRS, because the IRS has access and can see that account. They can pull it right up. It's not an esoteric thing to talking about. I'd be like, hey, I've created the account with you. What's there to realize? So then when they send you your IRS tax bill that you owe, which is going to be ridiculous, you're going to be saying to yourself, wow, why don't you just take this right out of my account? And really they're going to respond, thanks for letting us do that. Thanks for letting us do that. We will absolutely do that. Now you fulfill the debt. So now you have everything for the other rider that you could possibly want. You got your IRS tax bill taken care of. You show a really good amount of income for your business. You have your business profile set up for your business, so it looks legitimate, and it is legitimate. And you have the last part, which is you built a couple $100,000 worth of credits. You know, credit is the same as money, right? You maybe have heard of that, credit and money. There is no money. There's no gold and silver. So when you build business credit, it's almost like working a full-time shift at Taco Bell for the week, and you made $600, and you're able to squirrel away $50 of that and put it into a savings account. And then you do that for a couple years, right? And then you go to the banker and be like, hey, I saved up $5,000. I have $5,000 of savings. I have $5,000 to work with. And the bank would say that, like, wow, yeah, you got $5,000 worth of capital that we can work with. Congratulations. It's viewed the same way as credit. If you build $5,000 worth of credit, which is significantly easier than saving at Taco Bell, they're going to look at it as real cash. They're going to be like, oh, this is sitting in a savings account. So it's awesome there. So yeah, you have all the puzzle pieces to be successful. And that's just for a Lamborghini. You know, what about a mansion of a house that you always wanted? What about, you know, putting the kids through private school or something like that? Well, Paul, you might be asking yourself, well, Paul Michael, that sounds all well and good, but what if I fail? What if I can't pay back the thing that I invested in? Because you should make wise investments. What if it fails? Or what if I get myself into a pickle and I can't pay it back? You know, because life happens. I talk to people. I was actually at a consultation with someone last week. Very touching story. Husband and wife. Wife was talking with me. Well, Michael, I was making $230,000 a year. My husband was making good money too, but I was the breadwinner. Bought this beautiful house in this nice neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. And all of a sudden, COVID hit. Lost my job. Life flipped upside down. Didn't have that income. And I told the bank, hey, I lost my job. And I've been working up in that job for years. And all the equivalent jobs that I went for, they're not even offering half of what that amount was. What do you do in that situation? Now I can't afford my monthly mortgage. Now I got to bring the kids out of private school. Can't even put food in the refrigerator like I used to. You know, your life is upside down. And I said, what's the most difficult part about that situation is that everything's on your personal credit, on your personal situation. So it's a tragedy, but it's so often so true. And then, so they have to go through bankruptcy, sell the house, downsize, whatever, credit's all messed up and backwards. And now what do they got to do? Now they got to work at a job where they make less money. They got to work twice the amount of hours that they had before to dig themselves out of the hole that they got in originally. You don't have to do that with a private entity. You just say, oh, private entity can't pay, whatever, walk away, start a new one. Start over. That's the beauty of operating the private. You could create as many entities as you want. You say, that's not on me. That's on this guy right here. You know, this guy fails. Oh, well, I move on with my life. Not a big deal. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that motivates you for wanting to get the Lamborghini or Lexus or whatever vehicle that is that you want. I recently, as I talked on my channel before, I got a new vehicle, and I got a Ford, a nice little SUV. And I was just like, and you know, I was like, man, I really like this SUV. I want to go ahead and pick it up. And I thought to myself, I want to put this on payments, and I want to be able to pay this off. And I could use Creditor Academy income to go ahead and make the payments on the monthly. Or, man, I live on my computer all the time. I'm not going to use the car constantly. Maybe I just put it up on Turo. Now I put it up on Turo. It's doing wildly successful on Turo. It's fully booked. It's fully booked. I only do it for a week and a half out of the month. It's fully booked. And out of that week and a half of putting it up on Turo, it takes care of the entire payments. And now I have a vehicle for 2.5 to 3 weeks out of the month that I can just drive at my leisure. You know, that just makes sense. So if you get a Lambo, let people rent it out maybe a little bit. That's an option, especially if you're in a great area like Seattle or Portland, San Francisco, LA. You're maybe on the East Coast near New York, Florida. Shoot, I've seen some nice places in Iowa that I would love to, you know, get a nice vehicle there. I used to be out there for a little while. So, you know, your imagination can go in any direction. And that's the fun thing about life. It's just doing not only things for your personal growth, but also not doing it for selfish reasons. But not only you enjoy the Lamborghini or this Ford SUV, but renting it out for other people to enjoy as well. And that's what shares the love. And love is through commerce. So with that being said, let's take questions on anything I went through today. I hope that, you know, rang true and rang clear. Extra, let's go to you.
Okay, Paul, how does this work when you rent your vehicle out? Say if I got DOT tags
Yeah.
and I'm renting it out.
Mhm.
I mean, how does that work?
Easy. They accept DOT tags.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, they accepted mine, so it's no issue.
Okay.
Yeah, super fun. Crown and the right of the Commonwealth. Let's go with you.
I'm exploring an option that may be viable, where the contract or the sales agreement acts as the bond, or the would that be another approach?
Yeah, you could try anything. I'm just tired of talking and arguing with people. No one argues with my credit card. So I'm just like, you know what? Just swipe it. Give me the card. Just leave me alone. Let me move on with my life. And this is another way to do it. But I'm here to tell you, man, people brag a lot in this truth movement. People brag a lot about a lot of different things. I'm here to tell you, man, brag about discharging a IRS debt. I mean, you would flex hard on that. And you know what? It's simple. It's straightforward. On Tuesday, we with Randolph here, we talked to, he was just like, dude, I do this 100 different ways, discharging IRS tax. And dude, man, you look, what nothing gives you greater confidence than you just say, yeah, just discharge $300,000 in taxes. And it's tax season right now. And it's very straightforward to do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've been around people that speak similarly, that they've been able to discharge the ATO, which is the Australian Tax Office equivalent. that doesn't seem. I mean, that philosophy will apply everywhere and anywhere, really.
Yeah.
I guess whether you can do IRS or credit cards, once you get onto it, then you know the concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I like about it is that it's simple. And there's so much complexity of different processes and reading a bunch of stuff or whatever. This keeps it simple and it aligns perfectly with Patrick Devine. And the reason why I say that is because it's all about banking. And I'm preparing you through the academy on the one most important meeting that you're going to have, which is meeting with your banker. And your banker wants to give you whatever you want. He really does. He really does. So he has the right intention when you're sitting down with him. The only thing that he asks or actually requires of you is that you check all the boxes for the underwriter. That's it. It's not, and it's no trick questions. It's not a I got you moment. It's just, do you check the boxes? If you do, I'm allowed to extend you any amount of money that you like without limit. So cool. Okay, so any other questions?
A lot of times, Paul Michael, they're working on commission, so they
Oh,
want.
they're working on
give you
commission.
Yeah, well, maybe not direct commission, but definitely the branch manager gets more money. He gets a bonus if his branch brings in more money. Do you know what I'm saying? So they offer loans.
Really?
Well, if they give a certain amount of credit, they're going to get year-end bonuses because they offered this much. I mean, that's how they issue themselves money, right? So if they're issuing X amount of dollars, they're looking at their own accounts and saying, "Oh, we have this much outstanding. We are making money too." So it's not. You know what I'm saying? So they're they want to give you money is the point. They really want to.
So we can be helping families by doing these processes.
Oh, you're helping many, many families, and you're helping their family's family, and maybe even their grandma.
Yeah, are you helping grandma? Helping. That's what Creditor Academy is all about. Helping the grandmas of the world.
It's 100%, 100% the way it is. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Me,
Do you have
that's
anything to
grandma,
add to?
that's-
There you go. There you go. We're gonna help out the elves of the world. Absolutely. Ryan, do you have anything to add to this conversation or any other insight? I know it's my first time kind of bringing up the 1099 forms. What do you think about that?
I'm loving it, man. It's good. It's all great. I mean, there's all these different official ways of recording income and on your tax forms. I mean, you have to be an SPC to utilize this process, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a big part of it. So as long as you have your SPC, then you can utilize the bond. Somebody had an interesting brought up an interesting point on I'll save that one for Friday for the trade lunch class. I'll talk to you later privately about it. But someone talked about utilizing that bond as an AR maybe, which was interesting. I don't know if that would even be possible.
Oh, alternate revenue?
No, like accounts receivable. So we talked about having the debt that's
Okay.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know if it's
That's an
possible.
interesting one. Yeah, I mean, that's a Randolph question.
Yeah,
that's a Randolph question.
Someone talked about
Yeah,
that, so I wonder if
I
it's
know.
possible. But as far as the loans go, guys, it is so straightforward from the bank's perspective. They literally look at they literally look at all of your they have guidelines. Just like, whenever you go anywhere, there's like, okay, so if you go to a McDonald's, a value meal includes a soda, a drink, and fries. Those are the guidelines to make it a meal. Same thing when you go to the bank. They look at there's certain guidelines and certain specific things they look at. And if all those boxes are checked, just like Paul Michael was saying, then that's a loan. They're going to give you a loan for whatever you want. And car loans, just to be clear, Lambo, they love auto loans. They're some of the easiest loans to get because guess what? If you don't pay, they can pull up to your house and drive right away with your Lambo. It's hard to foreclose on a home, right? And it's hard to collect on a credit card debt or a personal loan if you don't want to pay. They have to go get a judgment and seize your property. It's hard. But an auto loan, They pay a guy with a what are those things called, the T coffin style moving trucks, whatever they're called. You know what they're called.
Right.
There's something name for those guys. What are those guys called?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They steal your car.
They steal your car, and they got a TikTok that they do it.
Yes,
like,
yes,
oh.
right. What is it? What is it, Ellie? What is it?
Tow trucks?
Tow truck.
Oh,
Oh my God, I can't believe it's a super brain
There we
fart. Yeah, 100%. Tow truck. So I mean, those guys, they pay them a certain amount of money. They work on commission as well. They pull your car out, and the bank's happy. They have a new car on the lot. So I mean, that's why it's
repo.
so. I've seen repo. There you go. I've seen people get really incredible loans, even with horrible credit. Auto loans, just again, are some of the easiest ones to get. So yeah, there's that.
Well, then that's very confident, because you from what I'm hearing or understanding you saying, you may not even have to go as far as my presentation today. You might just have your private entity build up enough business credit, and then you go ahead and get the loan.
I mean, you could get. I mean, every little bit helps, right? It's kind of like building a wall, or I don't know. There's so many different ways of going about it, and every little piece of information helps. I mean, if you're an SPC and you're gonna put all this income and then write it off on your taxes, and you're gonna have no debt, that you're not gonna have to pay anything. I mean, incredible. Incredible. I mean, what I would say is your process really helps. This process you're talking about today, it really is powerful for a home. That's where it really comes into play.
Yeah.
Because when you're a business owner and you operate an LLC, typically you're operating, as a pass-through entity. And when you go to apply for a mortgage, they don't accept LLC income as income for your DTI to buy a mortgage, to buy a house. Right. But they do accept only W-2 income for your, basic FHA, your kind of standard mortgages. So that for a home is where this would really be powerful. Absolutely. Even more than an auto loan. So that's kind of my takeaway there.
No, I love it. I love it, because real estate is building your empire. And, when I first came into this movement, Ryan, I thought about really three things. I thought about endless money or credit. I thought about houses and cars. I thought of the lifestyle is what sold me. Is what
1,000%. Yeah. You might even want to add in, as you scale up, maybe your mind will expand to boats and planes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's already there. It's already there. It's the boat's got to be in front of me in Lake Washington, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, let's do it. I wonder. I gotta think of a boat name or something like that.
Yeah, you can just call it the Paul Michael.
Yeah,
or the Roland. You can do some play on the rowing.
It'll be the Paul Michelle. It'll be my love affair.
Put a big heart in the back.
my ultra female ego.
Well, we all know the story of why a ship is a female, right? We all know the story.
I know mine would be a bitch, no doubt about it.
Oh my God, I was talking about the truth movement, how you arrive at the porn and all that. But okay, that's good too.
How's your boat doing? She's taking all my money. So
oh God.
Fun times. Well, for everybody that was able to enjoy this conversation on YouTube, we thank you for joining us today. I hope this was educational, but also more importantly, I hope that you get involved. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you'd like to be a part of our live courses, like in our audience today, you can go to creditoracademy.com for the links for every Tuesday and Thursday's live class, which starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you'd like to get involved with Creditor Academy, the actual academy, where you want to successfully go through each of the pillars, become privately operate, and build unlimited private credit, you can fill out the Contact Us form, and an educational counselor will reach out to you and give you a full breakdown of the academy and what it offers. I'm really excited about the journey that we're all going on, because it's It's all success. It's all success. It's all logical. It's all step by step. And we put a lot into the Academy to make it simple for you and give you the instructions, the resources, the reading material, the pre-recorded videos, plus live instructors like Ryan and Randolph and I to go ahead and answer your questions along each of the 3 pillars. So yeah, we love meeting you and your family, and really to grow our family here. So we'll be excited to meet you. But until next time, YouTube, we will see you next week, Tuesday at the same time. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. And it's the after hours. Oh, all right.